Hi all, I'm Dr. Bird, and this is just a short tutorial to help you navigate through my class in Blackboard. So when you first log on, you'll see that the announcements typically pop up first, and those announcements are where I post reminders or to-do list for the week, maybe some fun new assignment or a video I find. So make sure you're checking the announcements pretty regularly. Also make sure you check your email because sometimes the announcements also get populated in your email. Under the announcements link, you'll see the My Grades link. This is where you can check your grades, which I again recommend that you check pretty regularly. If anything ever looks a little bit wrong, by all means let me know and we will get it fixed right away. The next link is the Collaborate link. This is what Blackboard calls their Zoom-like function. So this is where you will go to find our class meetings, my office hours, lab meetings, and also this is open all the time. So if you decide you want to study with another person or group, you guys can plan to meet at a certain time, all of you clicking on that link, and you can study together. The next section in Blackboard is your lecture section. So when you click here, the first thing you see is the lecture syllabus. So I'm just going to take a brief second to just point out some things about the lecture syllabus you might want to know. So first, here are when we have class. Tuesdays at 12:30, Wednesdays at 6:30. Lab sessions will be Mondays at 11. So if you don't have me for lab, you have to find out when your lab instructor does it. And then here are my office hours, where I'll be present in that Collaborate link for you to ask questions. And then of course I'm available by email anytime. So in this course, we will have 5 units. All right, so here are our unit tests, Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3, Unit 4, Unit 5, and then we'll have a final exam. So we're going to have 6 total exams in this class. If you look at how the grades are broken down, the 5 exams and the final are 65% of your lecture grade. Then we'll have lesson quizzes and lesson assignments that are 12.5% of your lecture grade. Then we're also going to have weekly quizzes in Blackboard, which is another 12.5% of your lecture grade. And then we're going to have one semester-long project called a vocabulary project that's worth 10% of your lecture grade. When you put lecture and lab together, your lecture grade ends up being 60% of your total grade, and lab is 40%. So if we scroll back up here, we can see that the semester is planned out week by week, and it tells you here in this table what the topic is we're going to cover, what your reading should be, and I was pretty flexible on what textbook you wanted. I built my course around the In Focus book. I've taught many years from the Campbell book, but if you like to go the free option and use OpenStax, I've given you the chapter choice for that as well. So I don't really necessarily care that you have one or the other. Just make sure if you're not using In Focus, you pay attention to these other chapter numbers because they're going to differ from what's on Blackboard. For every chapter, we have a lesson outline for that chapter that I recommend you read. There are questions embedded in that lecture outline that will be counted for points. You'll also have an option to watch some videos and see some pre-recorded PowerPoints over that chapter. And then of course probably the best thing to do is to go to the live session. Now if you can't attend the live session, I'm going to record them and make those available as well so you can always hear what was covered in the live session. For each chapter you will have the outline questions and then some sort of assignment and then one quiz. Sometimes we have 2 assignments just depending on which week it is. In general, we're covering 3 chapters and then having an exam. The exams are a mixture of multiple choice and short answer. That'll all be on Blackboard and timed. And then you'll also have a couple of take-home essay questions that also count toward your grade. Each exam is pretty much set up the same way, except for the last 2. The final exam and exam 5 are sometimes don't have a take-home portion. It says it here, but I need to fix that. I just found that mistake. I'll fix that. Other than that, I would just say keep up with the material and make sure you are reading and preparing for each chapter each week. Don't let yourself get behind. At the end of my lecture syllabus, I have a link here to a Google Drive a Google form that I am asking that you sign basically to say that you've read the syllabus. All right, now under the lecture syllabus is the lecture material. So you can again see the 5 units. Starts out here with some important course information, which is probably where you found this video right here. And then we go into each unit. You can see that the chapters listed here are for the In Focus book. If you click on there, there's chapter 1, chapter 2, and chapter 3. When you click on the chapter, it brings up all the information you need to complete the material for that particular week. The checklist helps walk you through what you need to do. So you should read the chapter outline, which is, if you scroll down, is right here. And there are embedded questions, which are for points. You should try to attend the weekly lecture or watch the recorded lecture of the lesson. The links are right here. There are also videos and PowerPoints that you can view that will help you learn the material better. So those are also right here in this folder. I recommend that for every chapter you read it and read it pretty thoroughly. So I've developed these reading guides that help guide you through your reading as you're doing it so that you know what's important to pull out of the information. Those are not for points, they're just there for you to help you study and read. And then of course you're going to complete the assignment and the quiz for each chapter. So as you scroll down, you'll see the assignment and the quiz. So you're kind of wanting to make sure you pay attention to everything that's in here. Each lesson starts with some objectives, your learning objectives. These are basically your study guide. So I make my tests from these particular points from the lesson. So when you ask me for a study guide, here it is. I already made it for you. Okay? And then there's one other thing I want to point out. If you do end up forming a study group, for example, maybe you meet in Collaborate or Google Hangout or something like that, you can get extra credit if you and your group meet at least 3 times to study. And so click on this link to figure out how you can either upload a video from where you're studying or just videotape yourself studying right here so I can actually see it. You don't have to videotape the whole thing, just a little portion of it. Okay, so those are your lecture materials. You can see here there's a link for the semester-long project, which is the vocabulary project. We'll talk more about it in class, but basically you're going to develop a PowerPoint presentation that defines and discusses and provides context for 50 vocabulary words, and then some other little activities to keep you on task. It's not due till towards the end of the semester. However, it is a lot of work, so I wouldn't leave it till the end of the semester. You could start working on the vocabulary on a chapter by chapter basis. It'll help you study, and then it will be done when it's due. Under the lecture section is lab, so if you click on lab, you'll find the laboratory materials, so the lab syllabus is in here. You can look at the lab syllabus and see where what you need to be doing each week for lab. It is set out by lab as well. Labs only meet 1 day a week. So, for example, mine meet on Mondays. So we'll discuss what's to be done, and then it's due on Sunday nights by midnight. And you can see how that each lab is organized in a similar way to your lecture. There's a checklist, there's a lesson. After the lesson, there's an assignment, and then after the assignment, there's a quiz. So very similar to what you see in lecture. Under the lab section, you'll see a link for course evaluation. About midway through the semester, I'll remind you to do this. And this is just where you get an opportunity to give me feedback about my course and how it's going. And I really do appreciate this feedback and want it to be honest. I don't receive it or know who said what. I don't receive it till after I turn the grades in, so it can't hurt your grades or anything, but I really do pay attention to those and use them as we move forward. I hope this was helpful, and you can always email me and ask questions if you have any other further questions. I'll see you soon.